The No Fate channel, checking in. Jonathan here. Today I've got a very special guest. Not only is he a dad of two, he's also a rugby player, a weightlifter, a strongman, a bouncer, and of course, the owner of Bells of Steel. Woo! For those of you who may not be familiar, Bells of Steel is an amazing gym equipment supplier. They not only deliver commercial grade equipment, they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee on all of their equipment and have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Kaevon Khoozani started Bells of Steel all the way back in 2010 out of the back of his 1991 Ford Festiva. He started selling Kettle Bells, hence the Bells of Steel, and bumper plates, and he financed this with not only money from bouncing on the weekends, but with the money he had from his student loans of all things. Started off as a pie-in-the-sky idea, soon blossomed into a legitimate business, and in 2018, Bells of Steel opened up their first brick-and-mortar store location. I am here with none other than Kaevon Khoozani, the owner, operator, chief cook, and bottle washer of Bells of Steel, and we're going to dive into some fantastic questions, and we're going to start off with his latest releases, the Hydra as well as the Manticore. Now, for those who are not familiar, Bells of Steel recently released these fantastic power racks that have almost an unlimited amount of customization with regards to height, depth, and a whole host of other attributes that just you don't typically see with a lot of home gym retailers. You went with a true 3x3 construction. For people who don't know, when power racks are made overseas, they're sold as 3x3, but they're really like 75mm by 75mm, and that does cause some conflict with trying to get attachments to crisscross. So why did you go with a true 3x3?
Yeah, I guess mostly like a differentiator and to just provide like more universal, like a universal system, I guess. Like it'd be better for customers. It'll be compatible with, the industry leader out there, and hopefully others will follow suit and just provide like a better, better options and choice and competition to consumers.
And for those who not realize, your attachments will be 100% locked in to another company who's very famous here in America that rhymes with Og. We don't want to say the name. We don't want to get sued like they sued Hero Barbell. So, but it's very nice to be able to interchange parts so that if you have a power rack, you don't have to necessarily go to that company for every one of their attachments. Besides the old school hammers you used to sell, what do you think is probably the most underrated product you have on your lineup?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard question. It's a bit interesting. So the bell squat machine used to be like one of our like hero products, but they've taken like a nosedive in the last year or so. So I don't know if like belt squats kind of like went out of vogue, or everybody bought their belt squats already, or there's more competition. But that's something that I think is like a real unsung hero. I pretty much exclusively squat with a belt squat these days. I really like my chain vest. It's just a heavy chain, two heavy chains like hooked together with a carabiner, and I throw it on and I'll go on my. I've got a desk treadmill. I'll throw it on and I'll go answer all my emails and clear up my Slack notifications in the morning. And I really like the chain vest because it sways a little bit, and so it really like kind of engages your core. And
now the two items that I have that I think are so underrated for what you sell is, number one, your brand new competition interchangeable kettlebell. It was revised, and it not only has just better options for buyers, it is just absolutely fantastic. The coating on there is just beautiful to touch, and the handle is great. Not only does it save a ton of space, but it saves a ton of money. And the other one, which is an old school one that you've sold for a while, is your plyo box. That thing could go into any gym in America and just take a beating and keep on ticking. That thing is fantastic. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine. 2010, you decided, let's just try this. And obviously, you financed it like many people who were thinking about starting a business with credit, with student loans, and from money from bouncing. What kind of stress was it to start your own business? Because I'm sure someone watching today's video is like, I'd love to start my own business selling whatever it may be that they're interested in. But of course, there's the bills, the concern for payment.
75% of my life I was really poor. So grew up on welfare with my mom. We never had money and just was always kind of getting by. And so when it came to starting a business, it was like, well, I don't, I already know what being super poor and broke is like. Like, I'm not scared of it. And I didn't have any dependents, I didn't have any kids, that's one thing. Like, if I
Yeah.
was in the position where I'm now, I'm 38, I had 2 kids, like, that would be hard. I stress now more, even though the business is a lot more successful than I did in my 20s, because there's actually something to lose. Whereas before, it was like, just do something else.
Clearly, you're going to blink and it's going to go from 2023 and we're going to be in 2024. What can we expect from Bells of Steel next year? Now, if you don't want to get to specifics, I understand, because loose lips sink ships.
We've got like a weight stack and a free weight leg extension coming out Q1 as well. A whole bunch more cardio products, a whole bunch more Manticore stuff, Hydra stuff. But yeah, we just had this huge kind of backlog all come through at once. The big ones that haven't been finalized, that are still like prototyping through, probably the two biggest would be the Smith machine attachment and the Kraken.
Sonic boom! So now, one of the things I really love about Bells of Steel, and you in particular, are the marketing videos that you put out are very much unlike a lot of the other glitz and glam we see in the community. Typically, it's all like sizzle reels and it's all like smoke and mirrors. Whereas when we see you on YouTube, when we see you put out something, it's you being 100% honest. Obviously, anyone who watches them, it can't be faked. It's just you caring about the product, and not only that, but caring about the person buying it, getting the perfect piece of equipment for them. Excuse me, what should people know about Bells of Steel?
We're the best bang for your buck, innovative fitness equipment supplier in the US and Canada.
For most home gym users, for most weightlifters, for most powerlifters, cardio is just a dirty word. But it seems recently like Bells of Steel has kind of gotten into that cardio market with an air bike, the rower, the treadmill. Do you believe that cardio equipment is going to be a big seller in the future, especially come January 1st?
Yeah, it's interesting. They're really not that hot anymore. Like, you don't see anyone in the home gym Discord or the Reddit subreddit talking about cardio products, but the industry for cardio is still quite a bit larger than our kind of strength industry. So I think that that is kind of where we're headed with. I think we've got maybe five or seven pieces lined up to take a really good crack at it. They're all kind of more unique. It is a hard market, though. It's so oversaturated. Takes a lot of work to do service and parts.
So obviously you're from Canada, and I'm just always curious, who's your favorite wrestler? Because when I think Canada, I think of the Bret the Hitman Hart.
I was big into it until I think I was about 17 or something. I was a big fan of the Hitman, but I do, if I had to say now, probably him, because he's a Calgary guy. He's actually in the same city as our headquarters. Haven't had the pleasure of bumping into him yet. But I think my all-time favorite, I can say now, I really like Sheamus. I don't really watch it, but we did some influencer work with Sheamus and Amanda Rose. But Sheamus, he's a really nice guy. It was a couple of years ago now, and even he texted me the other day when they were in Calgary, and he's like, "Hey, do you guys need any free tickets for you or your staff?" And some of my staff went.
Your equipment obviously is commercial grade. It's heavy duty. Even your plate tree is massive, and it can hold a ton of weights. I love your plate tree. But how much do you market or push towards selling to commercial gyms in your neck of the woods or in your circle?
Last year, I think it was last year or the year before, we started a much bigger push. So we built out like an actual sales team to do outbound marketing to more commercial facilities. Started doing a lot more marketing on LinkedIn. Started getting, and so we've been starting to get a lot more like light commercial deals, military, schools, police stations, not too much in like the big universities, things like that. Those ones are a little bit tricky because they often need like a lot of customization. So, they need the custom painted racks with the, college logo in it or whatever. So those have been kind of tricky to get a hold of, but we've been doing well with light commercial stuff.
What kind of recommendation can you have? And obviously in 2023, it could be argued that it's harder, but it could also be argued it's a lot easier with the advent of the internet versus having to go, door to door. Do you have any advice or suggestions for people that have an idea but are afraid to pull the trigger?
Yeah, I think whatever you do, it's just as simple as like just starting it right away while you're working currently or doing whatever you're doing. Like if you can start it as a side hustle, put in your 14-hour days or whatever, and just prove your concept really by doing it at the same time. So you don't have to take that great big leap. We did. My wife recently did take that great leap. She is a physical therapist and she opened a clinic here, which was a lot riskier because she had to actually get a building and put it all equipped and whatever. But even that, she probably could have done, tested the waters and done some like outbound, going to people's houses and trading them. So I think that's the biggest thing. Prove your concept, work double time, if you don't want to quit or whatever. And I mean, there's so much to learn for free on the internet. Like I have an e-commerce company and I didn't own a computer until I was in my 20s. So everything was just self-taught. And I did go to business school, but it was like learn how to work for an oil and gas corporation. I didn't learn any of my small business stuff from university or college. So there's just so much free resources out there, and not even necessarily like specific courses, just like learn like the website. Even like I built that website initially. I just built it and messed around and figured it all out on the way. So yeah, I think it kind of sucks. You got to double time it for a while, but
Now, I read somewhere that one of your favorite business books is actually one of my favorite business books, The 4-Hour Work Week. Is that true?
it was. I think it really inspired me in the early days. I haven't read it in years, so he's got some good things to say.
Well, listen, Kaevon, I'm going to put all the Bells of Steel information, the links in the description of today's video. If you're watching it and you made it this far, make sure you're following them on social media. It doesn't cost anything. If you want to see another fantastic interview, then check this one out. And if you made it this far, you and I are like November 1st and Black Friday sales. We are best friends. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. And as usual, don't save anything for the trip back.